Okay, good. All right, that's easy. Marvellous. Okay, how are you today anyway?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Yes, been doing lots of work. Trying to catch
Yeah,
up with
obviously you've been really busy.
Yeah, it is a bit at the minute, but I do lots of different things. So it's I mean, yes, I'm busy with dog clients as well, but I've been catching up on other work. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
various hats.
That's always handy, especially in a
Very handy, very
like that.
handy. Yeah, just got to keep up with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many hours in a day.
You've got it in one. Yeah, exactly. So you've got a chatty little girl by the sounds of it.
Yes, very much
Okay. So I've had a quick read, well, not quick, but I've had a read through your information, so thank you for that.
so. Okay.
So we'll work through it,
Okay.
and I'll just give some thoughts and, you know, what I think could be going on, what you can then try to do to manage it,
Okay.
and what sort of training will be involved to help her.
Amazing.
I'm very conscious that you have a time-limited situation.
Yes.
I didn't put it that way. 8 weeks, possibly sooner. So yes, which is a little bit of a concern for me is how much we can do in that time span. But let's have a chat through that. So you've had her neutered, and she was neutered at 8 months. So had she had a season?
No. So
Okay.
I rang up. She's between 6 and 8 months because I remember booking it in at about 6 months and they cancelled it.
Yeah.
So she basically she was probably between 6 and 8 months, but I was advised not to let her have her first season.
Okay. By the vet?
Yes, because I rang up for information because my mum had her cat done before her first season, and I remember thinking that seems a bit strange to me. So I thought I'd ring the vet and just see if it was the same for cats and dogs, and ask them how do I go about getting her spayed and what's the process type thing. And yeah, they basically said we wouldn't recommend her having a season at all. Bring her in, we'll get her booked in, and yeah, take some time off work to be with her. But then that was it basically. I wasn't told any of these side effects could come across, because if I was, I probably would have waited, because I thought I had to wait for her first, if I'm honest.
Yes. Okay, interesting opinion from the vet.
Yeah.
Right. Clearly I'm not a vet, but yeah.
Well, now that you've said that, I've done some research, and I would have waited for her first season, if I'm honest. But I just went with what the vet said.
Of course you did, absolutely. The thing is with vets is a lot of them, don't get me wrong, they're amazing, they're huge, their knowledge is fantastic. There's no way I could do their job in a million years. They've got so much they have to bear in mind. The only thing I'd say is that they're not aware of the link between behaviour and medical conditions.
Yeah.
And that's something that is changing, but right now, they don't, which you've obviously read about, and clearly there's now more science showing that it's better to leave them. However, we deal with what we've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chihuahua and Terrier mix. So there's a bit of a. So when we look at behaviours, there's lots of things we look at, particularly a dog that's relatively young, as to what the reasonings could be. So we look at things like pain, because whether they've got chronic pain in some degree, whether it's physical or whether they feel ill. That's something we always look at, because these sort of reactive behaviours that you've got can be symptomatic of pain.
Right. Okay.
We look at digestion.
Right.
See if there's anything going on there. Possibly urinary as well. So both of those elements, because there is a big impact, as you know, in humans on digestive health compared to how people feel and act. And that's exactly the same with dogs, because they're mammals just like us. So there's those elements we look at. Oh, you just broke up. I can't hear you. Sorry, you've gone Dalek on me. Oh, you've gone.
Okay.
Jade, can you turn your
can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you turn your video off and we'll see if that helps it a bit more. Just so I can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me still?
Yes, I can still hear you. Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. So my mum asked me to get a urine test done on her, which I have done, and they've said that everything was fine.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps.
Okay, well, that's a tick. That's been resolved. So what we have to do with dogs is we have to do lots of asking why, and because they can't talk to us, we have to look at what else they're telling us and how they behave as to what might be going on. So okay, so they're things that we definitely look at. So you've had a urine test and you haven't had a problem, so that's coming out okay. One of the things we then look at is their early stage development, which is, you would have had an awful lot of this conversation, bearing in mind that you're pregnant, but early stage development and how puppies and human babies develop in utero is very impacting. And with dogs, everything once they're born is also really shortened up. So, you know, we have really teenage years. You know, we have a sort of growth as humans. We're sort of, you know, from the minute we're born, really until we're sort of 16, 17, 18 is our growing up period. And with dogs, that's condensed a lot. And with smaller dogs, they often mature, you know, by 1 year old, where the big dogs often don't mature until they're 2.5, and then you have a range in between. And by mature, we mean not just physically and how they grow, but mentally and how their brain develops and how their what we call emotional resilience develops.
Right.
So that has an impact on how they then behave as dogs.
Okay.
And one of the things you popped on your form, which makes me question what that could be something leading to this behaviour, is the fact that you picked her up and brought her home between 4 to 6 weeks old. Is that about right?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I was told that she was about 10 weeks when I went to collect her.
Right.
And then got her home after seeing all the papers and stuff. And then was told that the papers, well, basically the ladies rung me and told me the papers that she showed me, it turns out they weren't for my dog, they were for a different one. She wasn't neutered, she wasn't microchipped, she wasn't health checked, nothing. So I took her to the vets the next day, and they said that she's probably 6 weeks at the most, but probably more likely around 4 weeks.
Okay. Did you report the person you bought off her? Because she's basically been broken the law.
Yeah, I did. The issue is, I think she was a gypsy lady. She was in.
Right.
So I think she was gone by the time.
Yes,
she was
they're very clever.
She was moving, and that's why she was moving, and that's why I had to go and collect her on the day that I was going to collect her, and that's why she was going to be put down if nobody came to get her and things like that.
Oh, that's terrible. So she really pulled on your emotional heartstrings. What a
cow. My goodness, I messaged. I think it was like probably 8 o'clock the night before, and the lady was like, "Yeah, well, she's due to be put down tomorrow. So what time did you want to come and get it?" I didn't know if she was a girl or a boy. I didn't know anything.
That is disgusting behaviour. These people make my blood boil. I would quite happily garrote them.
Oh my God, it absolutely broke my heart. I was looking for a dog, and obviously not that soon, but then to be told, come and get it, not even her or him, to stop it being put down, I drove to Luton the next day.
Right. Well, I can totally see why you did that, because they know exactly how to play at the human heartstrings.
Yes.
Right. So one of the things I'd like to bring to your attention as a result of that, I'm not saying it definitely is, but it's something we need to consider, is that because you got her at such a young age, we need to look at, let's be honest, the environment she was born into, and probably the mother, her mum, was probably stressed. Let's face it, probably a sort of semi-puppy farm type environment. So her mother could very well have been stressed.
Yeah.
That would have had an impact on her puppies.
Yeah.
Because the mother would have had a tremendous amount of what's called cortisol, which is a stressor hormone, as well as various others bouncing around her system, and that has a direct impact on the development of the pups.
Yeah.
The fact that she was then removed from her mother at such a young age,
yeah,
could very well have had an impact on how she developed cognitively, i.e. in her brain.
Yeah.
Which could have led to these behaviours that you've seen.
Okay.
Being very reactive, reactive to different things, a bit erratic in her behaviours, because her emotional resilience.
Yeah.
Sorry?
She's just a big ball of anxiety.
Yes, exactly. Which means that she wasn't developed enough to balance herself up. It's the easiest way to put it. I mean, there's lots of science that would be behind that she's way beyond my pay grade, but I know enough to know that it could very well have enabled her to be this personality.
Yeah.
So there might be the scenario where we can help to a degree, but some of it could just be her and how she's developed as a dog.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I completely understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to look at how we can help her, bearing in mind that mentally things have not developed as comfortably as they should have done. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
No, they're not. So she's finding it difficult to self-soothe and balance her emotions without, which you clearly are seeing all the time. But she actually mentally is not able to do that because she didn't develop the ability to do it in her early youth.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is something we can't change. It is what it is. But I'd really like you to know that could be part of the consideration we have to have in how we work with her. Okay. In where we set our expectations in how much we can help and change her.
Okay. Thing is, she's not like it all the time. When she is not too excited or when she feels comfortable, she is so obedient and she's the most loving. She is just the most loving little thing in the world. And when she feels comfortable, she listens first time, and there's no. It's just, I said, it's just like having two dogs sometimes, if I'm honest.
Yes, and I think what you're describing is, if you think about what that's like with humans, if you've got people who can be two different personalities, and you're like, I don't know where I stand with you. It's a bit like that with Lola. It's like, I don't know where I am with you today or tomorrow. So,
like yesterday we had one hell of a day together, and she was awful. And all day I was like, oh my God, like I can't soothe you. But from the second we woke up this morning, she's been an angel.
Right. So let me just explain a little bit about, imagine that there's an emotional bucket. So it's a physical bucket that's got a plug hole in the bottom of it. And the plug's in the hole. So into that emotional bucket is lots of triggers that are going in each day. So seeing you in the morning, food, seeing other dogs, noises, someone knocking on the door, anything like that. And what those triggers are doing is giving her a drip feed of a hormone called cortisol. So have you heard of cortisol?
Yes.
Right. So it's one of the stressor hormones, which you probably know. Now, compared to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always bad stressors. It can be good stressors, but it's still exciting. And it feeds into that, imagine that bucket, it fills up.
Yeah.
And if we don't give a chance for us to give her time to have that drain down, i.e. take the plug out, it means that bucket is nearly always full. The level of it is really full.
Okay.
So it's a bit like a sink. Imagine that sink of water is all her emotions and the cortisol feeding into it. It does, if it's full and it's right at the top, it doesn't take very much for you. You could just put a finger into that water and it would spill over the edge.
Yes.
So what happens is she gets to a point where it only takes one little thing and she goes over, it overflows. And we can call it lots of different names, but over threshold is one of them.
Okay.
And what happens is that all she knows is that she feels massively uptight, massively stressed, and she looks at ways to help her relieve that. One of which is going to be barking, charging at things, not being able to lie down, not being able to settle, not being able to listen. All of those are symptoms of her being over threshold. She's not choosing to do it. It's her brain is taking over her emotion, okay? So she can't help doing it. So what you're seeing is an explosion of this huge amount of anxiety that she's holding in this bucket. And because she's constantly exposed to it, it overflows an awful lot.
Yes. Okay.
How does that help to try and picture what's going on a bit for her?
Yes, I've always, I think it sounds tough, but I've always said I feel like she can't help it. And I think a lot of people have said she's a dog. Of course she can, like, you're being silly. But I've said a few times that I feel like she can't help what she does, because there's days where she doesn't do it and she listens, but yet there's other days it is like I just lose complete control of her.
Yes.
When she's doing that. And no, and that's the thing I've said, I feel like she can't help it. I've always been told that I'm just being silly because she's a dog.
No, we have to look at, they're mammals just like us. And if people get very, very stressed out or very upset or very anxious, behaviors happen that you don't want to happen, but they do, because your body overrides what you want.
Yes.
Your brain takes over. And it's a large degree, it's very similar for Lola. So one of the reasons why you'll have good days is because for the previous, say, 24 hours, she would have had less exposure to triggers to fill up that bucket. So she is calmer the next day because we've allowed it to drain out. Because cortisol takes longer to drain out of the body than adrenaline does, for example. So it stays in there for 48, 72 hours. So if a dog is constantly exposed, it never has a chance to drain things down. So that would explain partly why you're having ups and downs. A lot will depend on what she's been exposed to 24, 48 hours previously. So one of the things we'll need to think about is how you will avoid, wherever possible, life gets in the way, exposing her to those sort of triggers. So I'm going to ask you to write a list of the things that you know gets her overexcited. Okay. And to a large degree, I'm going to ask you to, avoid them. In a moment, I will give you some other things you can do to help soothe her. But even things like exercise. Exercise can be the wrong type of exercise can be very disruptive to a dog's emotional balance. Oh, you've just broken up again. Oh, you're back?
I am. Can you hear me?
There we go. You're back. You just went all Dalek on me for a moment.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, it's fine. So we need to think about exercise, which is a very big element, because you've mentioned there's a couple of dogs. There's dogs that she likes to get on with, but I'm going to ask you over the next 2 to 3 weeks. To think about this period of time as a decompression period, where you're going to limit exposing her to these triggers, which includes, playing a lot with other dogs. So if she does meet other dogs and you meet some friends that she likes, for example, I'd like you to keep the play short and calmer. Okay. So as time goes on, in a few years' time, you'll have the same thing where people are going to say with the children, let's stop things before someone gets hurt. They're overtired. And that is very typical also in dogs. So we have to act, particularly for a dog like Lola, we have to act for them and think, do you know what? This is all a bit too much. Let's stop. So let's just have quality, a little bit of snippy playtime, and then call it a day. And by that, I mean literally maybe a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. That's enough. so that
Right.
she can have a little bit of engagement with other dogs, but she doesn't then get overexcited.
Okay.
Okay, so you meet up, so looking at so you go straight out to the loo. We'll come on to her food in a minute.
Okay.
Once the meet you go at the dog, with 3 other dogs you can socialise. So what I'd like to look at there is the type of exercise I'd like you to focus on is slow sniffing walks. I'd like her to sniff as much as possible.
Yes.
Running around doesn't need to happen. It's absolutely fine to limit that.
Okay.
What she needs is calm walks. And if she can sniff, I don't care if you do 100 meters in half an hour. If she's, honestly, I know it is not about the distance, I promise. It's about what she gets in a short period of time. Sniffing is massively enriching, engaging, and calming for dogs. It's how they communicate to the world. We know they have good noses, but I mean, literally, it is like going on the internet for them. So if she wants to stop and sniff at one point for 10 minutes, sorry, Jade, you're going to have to wait.
That's fine by me. My waddling doesn't keep up with her so much at the moment.
No, that's absolutely fine. So I'd like you to go for walks when it's quieter, when she's less likely to be exposed to other triggers outside. You know, go to places where you know it's going to be quieter. So it's a conscious effort over the next 2 to 3 weeks to reduce her exposure. Oh, you're broken up again?
Fine.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, we'll work with it. We're all getting used to this nowadays.
Don't, sorry. It's because I've just moved and I've not got the Wi-Fi sorted yet. I'm doing it on 4G.
4G, yeah, that'd be why. No worries. So hopefully I'm explaining potentially what's going on and to why she's behaving like this.
Yes.
We can't, but the other thing also is that yes, you're pregnant, and yes, you're going to be giving out some pheromones. And yes, dogs can react differently when the people they spend time with smell different. So yes, that could be an indicator. I had a male dog once. It was a little miniature pincer. And all it did, every time its mum, who was pregnant, sat on a chair, every time she got up, he'd jump up on the chair and pee on it. Because obviously because their noses are so sensitive, she was giving off different odours. We don't smell it. It's all pheromones. So we have to go with that a little bit right now. So that might be a contributor for her. We can't change that. You're pregnant. She's going to react. We can't stop her doing anything for that, but it's a thought process that may or may not calm down when you have the baby. Okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's where thinking potentially where some of these problems have come from. I've talked about her emotional bucket and her threshold and what's triggering all of that.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to talk about how we can manage it and have a decompression period to really calm her down. So reduce anything like that you can. Now, if she wants to play with other dogs, then I would try and avoid it for a while if you can. I don't mind if she has a little sniff and a hello, but then just come away from them. So she doesn't get frustrated by the fact that she doesn't get to greet them, but she is brief and calm. Oh, you've gone again.
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
Back.
Oh, you're back. So what we need to look at now is with regards to helping her reduce her tension. So sniffing, brilliant. There's 3-4 things I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to focus on on sniffing, licking, chewing, and sleeping.
Okay.
So sleep, massively important, particularly if you're around all day. If she's not actively sleeping, I'd like you to help her sleep by sitting with her calmly, giving her a chew, encouraging her to take some time out, because as you will find with a baby, same thing, overtired dogs get reactive and will bark and attention seek and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So think about how much sleep she's getting during the day. Dogs need a lot. of sleep, a lot. You know, we're looking, I mean, greyhounds, they can comfortably sleep 18, 20 hours a day, frankly. They just love it. Smaller dogs, yeah, greyhounds are fab. They're chill, nothing, but they sleep a lot. So do lurcher type dogs. But other dogs don't need as much of that, but generally dogs need a lot. We're talking 12 to 14 hours a day. Okay, so in a 24-hour period. So, so what's she barking at now?
She's not getting attention, I think.
Okay. So what we're going to talk about now is enrichment, giving her something to do, because a bored dog is a dog that will look for another behaviour to do instead.
Okay.
Okay. So we're now going to talk about how we can help her sniff, lick, and chew more often. Have you heard? So you're feeding her lilies at the minute, which is that's a pretty good food, as you know. Are you feeding it to her in a bowl?
Yes. So I always put her wet food in a bowl with a little bit of dry. But if I know that I'm going to be out somewhere for the day, I'll put her dry food in. It looks like a spaceship.
Okay,
it's like a
so
puzzle.
she has to get it out.
Yes, but admittedly, she has got a little bit lazy, and I don't think she's used it for a while.
Okay,
but then I
don't know
if that's because I'm home with her more.
Probably yes. When you do put her food down, I noticed you said that she doesn't tend to have her breakfast. Do you pick it up or leave it down?
I leave it down.
Okay, pick it up.
Pick it up.
So
okay.
If she does not take that food in the morning, if she doesn't take it, she gets 5-10 minutes. She doesn't take it, pick it up, put it in the fridge. That's it. Doesn't get it, and she's fine. Don't worry. She will not starve to death. Okay. So if she starts showing, she just broke up a bit again.
Sorry.
It's all right. If she starts showing that she's looking for food, then try her again. If she still doesn't take it, pick it up, put it away, and she doesn't get anything until dinner time.
Okay.
So don't leave her food down. Now, the other thing I'm going to ask you to do is to feed her out of the bowl in different ways. So have you heard of things like licky mats?
I think I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay, I'll send you some links. It's not a problem. You basically search on Amazon and you rock and roll. So licky mats are in lots of different forms. Spread her food on a licky mat. Oh, you're back.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
So that's okay. So instead of giving it to her in a bowl, I'd like you to spread it onto a licky mat. So what you're encouraging her to do is to lick and work for her food. We want her to do something for getting fed. This is also going to use up energy. The other thing I'd like you to do is get things that you can stuff with food. So you've already got that ball, but other things like a Kong or various other things like that. So think about any interesting way that you can feed her out of her bowl.
Okay.
It might be that you get a towel that's rumpled up and you sprinkle the dry food in that. So she has to sit for it.
Yeah.
Treasure hunts, put dried food around the house. So she's got to go, around your room and extend it out further and further into the hallway, the kitchen. So she's got to look for her food.
Okay.
But what this will do is we'll give her an engagement with doing something for her food, which is what dogs really like. It will mean that she's using up energy, because sniffing can use up as much energy as running around.
Right, okay.
Okay? The part of the brain in a dog that sorts out all the scent and the smells is 40% bigger in a dog than it is in us. So if you think about how tired we get, if we've been at work all day and we've been really thinking and concentrating, that makes us more tired than going for a really long walk.
Yes.
It's just the same with the dog. So the more that we can get her to sniff, chew, search for her food, work out how to get her food, the more energy we're going to burn in that brain of hers.
Okay.
Okay? It will also reduce her heart rate, so it calms her down.
Okay.
Chewing and licking also releases dopamine, which is one of the calmer hormones, which helps to counteract the cortisol. And of course, all of this is helping to drain down that intense emotional anxiety that she's got.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, so far, how does all of that sound?
Yeah, manageable.
Good. That's what I try to aim at.
Yeah, it's a lot less daunting than I thought it was going to be, which is good.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a really important period to reduce the stresses for her, and this is how we're going to help her do it. Now, the other thing that I'd like to touch on is some calming supplements. So have you looked into this at all?
I haven't, because I wasn't, if I'm honest, I wasn't too sure if it was something that, because like the vets always put it down to her being a puppy. So I just thought, oh, she'll grow out of this.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to go no.
Yeah. I'm starting to realise this now.
Yeah. Clearly at this age as well. No, there's other problems going on here as we've discussed. So you can look at, yes, discuss it with your vet. If you're not happy with what the vet's telling you, do not hesitate to swap to another vet. It's because if they're not helping you, then you need to find one that will, because they're not taking on board what you're telling them. So what I'm going to do, if you have got the time, I'm going to send you a food and behaviour diary. Not everybody wants to do this sort of thing, but to fill in what you're doing each day, what exercise, what behaviour she does, and then what supplements you can use. I'll send you some links. You can discuss supplements with your vet, but you don't have to necessarily buy them through them. If your vet is not helping you, you can buy one direct. Oh, you broke up.
Okay.
Oh, you're back. Okay. So I will send you some links. There's a couple of them out there. There's, one's called Zilkene, and there's others too. You can get a plug-in for the flat. They're called Adaptal, and they give out a pheromone that's calming. So
yes, I think my mum uses them for the cats.
Fine, exactly. So you'll get the same sort of thing for Lola. The other thing I'd like to ask is, do you have any scent or burning or plug-in glades or anything like that in your home?
No, however, I do have scented candles, but I haven't lit them since I've moved here, if I'm honest, actually.
Okay, let's just keep them out of the equation right now. Sometimes they have such a strong smell, they can upset the dog.
Right, okay.
It can actually be quite, because it's such an intense smell that really throws them.
Okay.
So we'll skip that. So we'll try the supplements. I will say that they don't suit every dog.
Okay.
And there is some science behind them, but they say what they say on the tin. They're supplements. If somebody is very anxious, a human is very anxious or very depressed, we all know that St. John's wort can help to a degree, but it is a supplement. And if someone is further down the scale than just needing a little bit of support, they do need to talk to somebody who's a professional and get counselling and get some medication to help them balance themselves out. And it's a bit like that with dogs. So it can have an impact, but it can take a little while to kick in, which is the other thing, because it has to build up in the system. But have a go. If you don't, then, and all of this, what we're going to do to help calm her down, and then I'll show you some exercises and things in a minute, or training, if you like. Then there are options for you to look at calming medication from your vet. They're pharmaceuticals.
Right, okay.
Okay, they are there. If your vet is not engaged with thinking about those, then I'm going to recommend talking to a different vet.
Okay.
They are out there. They are prescribed. Some of them are very familiar to humans. I'm not allowed to say what they are because I'm not a vet. But if you have any knowledge of, as we all do, we all know the names of some of these products. They are often used for dogs under vet obviously supervision. Okay, it's broken up in the back. So that is in your back pocket.
Okay.
if you have particular times, I work with a lot of separation anxiety clients, and that whilst their dogs are not on full medication because they don't need it all the time, they do get from their vet what's called situational medications, which are short-acting ones that help them. For example, if they have to go out and the dog can't cope with being alone, and it's a health risk because some dogs get hurt because they get so stressed when they go out, then there are medications you can get that last for 2 to 3 hours, which just helps in a situation that you get stuck in. So there's a couple of different options, but you will need to talk about it to a vet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we've talked about that. You're not on bad food. So Lily's is pretty good food. I'd probably drop the dentist sticks, to be honest, because they're full of crap.
Okay.
And she needs to have as little. It'll have a lot of stuff in there that could be making her more anxious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It sounds daft, but I have found that there's certain ones that she can't have because they set her off. Oh,
yes.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yes, I can. Yes, you're back. Yeah.
There's certain ones that she can't have because she gets too hyper. It's like her treats. Yeah. There's certain treats that make her hyper that I don't give her.
Right. Okay. That's exactly what I thought might happen with her, because she hasn't got a tolerance. She's not got much of a tolerance there to cope. So if she gets the wrong type of food, think chicken can sometimes be an irritant, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So just think about that. Avoid grains.
Yeah.
Think about giving her cool meat. So maybe avoid beef, and think about giving her cooler meats like lamb, turkey, rabbit, that sort of thing. That's a calming meat. So she's reacted there she's reactive, almost aggressive. So can you just describe to me what's happened when she's nipped people? What were the scenarios?
So it's been a case of if somebody's coming into like the most recent one was my landlord came in to the flat. I had her in my arms to stop her running out of the door, and he's come straight in, and he's gone to touch her straight away.
Right.
And she's just air snapped at him as if to say, like, don't touch me.
Yeah, she's saying get away. Okay, fine. So I understand that. So part of that is that because she's in your arms, she can't get away, because if dogs don't feel they can move away from a situation, they're left with only a couple of options, which is sort of growl, bark, air snap, that sort of thing. So I would suggest have you got it's a bit early for you, but have you got a baby gate, or could you get a baby gate?
I can get a baby gate. I've ordered one to pick up from Argos.
Fab.
To put at the top of the stairs to stop her being able to run outside the door.
Fab. Okay, so that you can management with reactive dogs is really important. So if you can put a baby gate in that avoids her having to be exposed to that situation, that's good. Okay. So what we're going to do in those situations is we're going to give her something calming to do instead. Examples such as a licky mat, something to chew, lick, find a treat in, anything like that. So you give her an alternative behaviour that will help calm her. Okay. And I just thought something else I was going to tell you, and I've forgotten. It's already gone out of my head. That's age for you. I thought, I must mention that, and I've just forgotten. I'll remember it in a minute. So avoid those situations. Oh, I know, I've remembered. So when we look at the training, which I'll come on to now, is if a dog stops taking food, say you're trying to calm her down, get her attention, that sort of thing. If a dog stops taking food, they are already over threshold. So their body is stopping them taking the food. They can't do it. It's not needed right at that point. So when we talk about starting to teach Lola, or further use education, is helping her change how she feels, for example, being around other dogs or people, then she has to be in a calm state to learn. So if she's not taking food, if she's already barking, if she's already lunging or kicking off, she's at a point where she is going to take nothing in. It's pointless trying to say or do anything, and you just move away from the situation. Just move away. So don't even say very much. Just literally remove her from that situation. Okay? Because she can't learn. When we're going to start teaching her to feel emotionally different about seeing other dogs, seeing people, we need to work below her threshold.
Right, okay.
Then she's emotionally ready to learn. If you think about it for us, if we were in a stress state and somebody's saying, no, listen to me, I need to tell you this, you need to learn, you're like, I'll not listen to you, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can't take it in. Just go away.
Yeah.
Just bugger off out of my space. So that's exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. She's just like, I can't take anything in. Barking helps her feel better, releases some of the stress. You know, she's saying, get out of my space, I can't cope. That's effectively what she's saying. So remove her from it. Okay? So I don't know if this is going to work. So when we train, this is going to be after a 2 to 3 week decompression period, by the way, Jade. So because we need to get her calmer first.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure whether this is going to work over your 4G, but normally I like to show a video. So we'll try it. And I'll just see if I can show it to you. So this is going to be a video of a, you leave your screen off, I'll just turn mine on. This is going to be a video of a Great Dane, big dog, same sort of thing. This Great Dane barks and lunges at other dogs and when he hears other dogs barking. And what they're doing, they're working on a long line, so they're not on a tight lead. And they are finding the distance at which this dog can look at its owner and take a treat and still see the other dog. Okay? So what they do is they find out if they get too close, he kicks off. So they move backwards away from the other dog to the point at which the dog can be calmer, take treats and listen to its owner. Okay, so I like to show this as an example of the type of training that we will do. All right. So let me just try and share my screen. So can you see that? Hello?
Hello, sorry.
Hello, that's all right. Can you see that or not?
I can, yes.
Fine, okay, so I'm just going to play it. The only other thing I'd say is that you'll hear a clicking noise. This is called clicker training. Have you heard of that?
Yes. So I was going to start that with her, but then I was told that it wasn't necessary because I could just, it has a click, like the clicker has the same effect as treats. Okay,
not quite. Okay, that's almost there. Almost there. So what happens is the clicker is what we call a mark. So you're basically using it to click and mark the behavior you want. Okay, the dog then learns that following that noise, something good happens, which is the treat. Okay?
Yeah.
So you don't have to use it.
Yeah.
Sometimes dogs that are very reactive like Lola don't respond well to extra noise like that. Okay, so it depends on how she is, but the timing of clicker training is very important. So often what's better, and it's easier because we have it with us all the time, is our voice. So I often encourage owners to see a behavior they like, they go, yes, reward. So the yes is the marker. So in the simplest form, you ask a dog to sit, you would say yes at the point at which the bum hits the floor. That is the behavior you want to saying, yes, I'll have that.
Okay.
Okay, so the minute the bum hits the floor, you'd be a yes, then reward. It's important the reward follows the behavior they've given you that's right. Okay, so let me just play this for you.
Okay. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Just wait from here. Good lad.
See, I always notice Westies and Springer Spaniels and things. Seems to be more.
Okay.
But I think my work's maybe related to that.
Sure.
Because they kick off from my work.
Now just stand still. Okay.
Yep.
That's perfect. He gets a treat, okay? Now, do you think he's bothered about the Labrador there? That wee tiny bit that you're sniffing. So, and that's what we're looking for. You just swing this over your head, and it's just so that I can stand back to get some footage, alright? Now we're going to walk off, just in case this dog comes in towards us, okay? Good. That'll do us there. That's beautiful. And again, good.
Good boy, what a clever lad you are.
Good. Now walk up, just walk up the hill. Lovely. Walk backwards for me until he gets his attention, okay? And just watch him here, because you'll see him looking at the dog. Perfect. Do keep going back, he'll tell us when he's ready to stop. Good. Good. And just stop there, that'll do us, that'll be good.
Okay, so I'll just stop that there.
Yeah.
So what you can see there is that the dog reacted at a certain distance.
Yeah.
He didn't do any corrections. He didn't start saying the dog's name or no or anything. He just stayed calm. The long line is a very useful tool, and I will definitely work with you on that.
Yes.
You just start moving backwards. And, you know, he let him get some of that behavior out. He just started moving backwards, and the dog then turned and came with him, because actually what the dog wants to do is get away a bit anyway. And then he could get to a point where he was looking at the other dog, looking back at the owner, getting a reward. He was then even more comfortable a few minutes in, where he gave a sit. So he didn't feel threatened enough to be on his 4 feet, because he thought he could sit. He felt comfortable enough.
Yeah.
And also that the owner was aware about what was going on around them and created some distance for that dog, so that the other dog that was started to come near didn't cause a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the sort of thing that we will work on. And I'd just like to show you that, to see that we don't say a lot, that we just mark and reward. We watch the dog's behavior when they're comfortable. And for Lola, it might be that we have to start at a big distance apart. That's maybe what we need to do. But we work on that. And, you know, we'd meet in a place that there's space, you know, that you can choose to move away from other dogs if you want. You know, do you drive, Jade? Have you got a car?
I do, yeah.
Okay. So how is she in a car? If you went to park in a car park near a dog walking area, what would she do in the car?
Get very excited.
Okay,
So
does she start barking when you pull up?
Yes, like as soon as she sees, if we go to somewhere that she knows, she gets very, very barky. She'll be on 2 paws. She'll be sort of jumping at the door to get out. Okay,
so as that's a very excitable thing for her at the moment, we'll avoid it.
Yeah.
But as she gets calmer, what we'll aim to do is just literally, you just go to those places. You don't even necessarily get out. You just start practicing calm behavior in the car. So, you know, you might have to park the car a long way away down the other end of the car park, where she can watch and observe out of the car calmly. Because what we want her to try and do is we want to try and now help her avoid practicing the behaviours we don't want, because they're nice, they're firm brain pathways at the moment. We wanted to practice those less, and we wanted to start practicing the behaviours we do want. So we want a different brain pathway. And in order for that to become more of the default behaviour, we have to help her practice that more often. It's like practice makes perfect. So the less you do of one thing, you'll forget it, and then you start doing more of another. So it's like that with Lola. Okay. So what we're looking at and what we've chatted about today is potentially some of the whys as to what's going on with her. Things that we can probably change her emotional response to things to a degree, but I think because of her background, we might have some limitations there. But let's see how we go. We're looking at how to give her a period of 2 to 3 weeks of just decompression. So, as I said, write that list. What are things that trigger her? Avoid them wherever you can. I totally appreciate life isn't always perfect, but just be aware that if you do get exposed to something that's a big trigger for her, that, you know, the next day, really calm stuff. Maybe just really brief out, going out for a walk and a sniff, back in, and making use of lots of enrichment in your home. You know, how she eats her food, where she eats her food. You know, you've mentioned that, you know, she's a smart girl. Just do a couple of little tricks or a bit of training with her. Anything like that that makes her think and work her brain. She doesn't always need to go out. I'm pretty confident that when you start giving her more licky mats, things that she can lick and chew like stuffed Kongs, she will start to relax more, because those activities will help calm her and therefore help her sleep a bit more as well. So the other thing is for you during this period is to try and take lots of deep breaths. So if she starts kicking off, I know it happens because it's so typical of owners, and I really get it, is that, you know, if you see another dog or if she starts getting excitable, try not to join in, if you like. Take really loud, deep breaths so that she can hear you as well. So that you're also starting to semi-train yourself not to see other dogs and think, oh my God, she's going to kick off, because that will travel down the lead to her. So there's a bit of practice for you as well. So practicing that. The other thing I was going to ask you about was, you've got a harness for her or a collar? Both?
Both, if I'm honest. Okay,
fine. And what sort of lead do you have? Do you have just an ordinary lead? Do you have a flexi lead? Oh, you've gone Dalek on me.
All three. So I have a normal. Better?
That's better. There you are.
Sorry. I've got all three. So I've got like a normal lead. I've got like a training lead, which is 10 meters, and then I've got one of the flexi leads.
Okay. So when you're out and about, I want you to not use the flexi lead at the moment. There a couple of reasons. They're not ideal because you can't really properly connect to your dog because you're holding a big chunky piece of plastic. And your connection and how you relate to your dog down that lead is really important. Secondly, I'm not a massive fan of them because they can fail. I've had owners who have used them, and I had one owner who was walking his dogs along a road and it failed.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, horrible.
That's heartbreaking.
Fail. Yeah, really, really awful. And so the other thing is with them, they're little tiny skinny bits of, you know, nylon. They wrap around your fingers. I've seen some horrendous injuries on people. I'm not a big fan of them, but we can have excellent technique with the lead and the long line. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing you noticed on this video was how loosely he was holding. He wasn't tensing it. He was just loose, letting the dog be dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go out, just on her lead, try and be relaxed about it. Sniff as much as you can. Reinforcement. I'll send you some links. If she does good stuff, take treats with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Really high value treats. Whatever rocks her boat, whether it's tiny bits of cheese, whatever it might be, When you're outside in high distraction environments, I want the good stuff. I want the 50 quid notes out there for her that makes it worthwhile.
Okay.
So whenever she's giving you behaviour that you like, reward it.
Okay.
Just reward it. Okay?
Yeah.
So you're basically, she's saying, oh, so you'll start to realise, oh, if I do that, that happens. And I like that. So I'll do that again. Okay, so we're helping her learn to feel different. Look at the supplements, bit of calming for her, see how that works. I will send you lots of notes today, Jade, so don't worry about things about that. So
I've been taking notes as well.
Oh, good. So out of everything we've discussed today, do you have any particular questions? You can always email me afterwards if you've got any queries, but anything particular right now?
The one biggest thing, so when I walk her, I don't know if this is right or wrong, because I don't let her off lead because it sounds daft, but I say I'm too
Sorry, you're breaking up.
But then I'll drop the long lead. So is that
You're
better?
broken up, Jade. Oh, you're back. You're back.
I'm back. Sorry. Sorry. Did you get any?
Fine. No, I saw you had that. So you don't have to drop it right now. Take the long line and just keep a connection with her, because you want to help her avoid getting overexcited. And that long line is brilliantly useful to do that.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to stop it if I didn't have to and cause more problems. But that's fine. So we'll not drop the line.
Yep. Okay. So keep the connection between you and her, and be calm. Take deep breaths. Relax. And just avoid stressful situations for the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay.
What I'd like to do in the email I'll send to you is, because I've got another call to go on at 4, I'll send you an email with the summary of what we've talked about. I'll send you some links to some videos that you can watch them on your own again.
Amazing, thank you.
So, which will be easier. I'm also going to send you, if you're inclined, something called Relax on a Mat. It's a 5-day program on a spreadsheet with things that you can start practicing, helping her to both go to a mat or go to a bed, whatever you choose it to be.
Yes,
and also
please.
teaching her to relax, okay? Yeah. It's a 5-day program. It's very self-explanatory, but I'll send that through in a link. It's on a Google Sheet.
Amazing.
Okay?
Yeah,
so
that'd be amazing.
There's things we can help with, but I think we do have to bear in mind that you have a massive life change coming up, and we have to see how much we can help you and Lola adapt to that. And just think about how much we can practically do. For example, before the baby gets here, when the baby gets here, that there may be limitations to that. Just being completely honest with you, because
I completely understand.
Yeah. So we'll do whatever we can. But if we can do this activity the next few weeks, I'll then propose a time, if you would like, have a chat with your mum, where we could meet up and do a training walk. Okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. So I'll be in touch, either hopefully tonight. But I've got another 2 calls to go on to now. But I will send you some information and mull it over, have a chat with your mum, and just let me know from that when you'd like to have a look at it. Okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Oh, I've just seen. Oh, great. Oh, yeah. So I need to. Yeah. So I just need to head off. Got another call. But that was great.